The Half-Blood Prince is a great example of what a book before the last book should be, whether it's the 5th book in the series or the 6th book in this case. But yes, it is a great example of that, and here's why. Now that Voldemort is out in the open, the wizarding world knows that they're under threat, and Voldemort's acting in public now. Along at the same time, it's also affecting the Muggles. So we actually open, instead of with Harry, we open with the Muggle Prime Minister having a meeting with the Minister of Magic. After that, we jump now to Harry, and this time he gets a letter saying that Albus Dumbledore is coming to pick him up. And he's like, okay, it says it's from Professor Dumbledore, but I doubt it that's him. And when Dumbledore actually shows up, he's like quickly in the pack, who's not expecting that. And you have a really cool moment of Dumbledore talking to the Dursleys, just like at the end of the Order of Phoenix, we had the other members of the Order friend Vernon Dursley. In this case, you have Dumbledore saying, like, you guys did not treat him well. Like, I want you to know that I did not appreciate that. Anyways, but he takes Harry along with him, and they go visit Professor Slughorn, who's hiding out, and you don't figure out until later in the book fully why. But he brought Harry along because Professor Slughorn likes to collect trophies. The students who he thinks are the best of the best. You later figure out one of his trophies was Tom Riddle or Lord Voldemort. He has a memory he's trying to hide from Albus Dumbledore because he's ashamed of what he told a young Tom Riddle. So now we jump to school. Professor Slughorn is now taken over as the potions master, and Snape is now the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. So now Harry, in potions, not realizing he could take potions again because he thought he had failed because of Snape, but he now can take it with Slughorn. He doesn't have books, and so he borrows one of the books from the cupboard that has written in it, this was the property of the Half-Blood Prince, thus leading to this now long question throughout the whole book of who the Half-Blood Prince is, and how he's so good at potions because he wrote in the book different additions to the recipes that made them better. And so Harry's went from being one of the worst people in potions to being the best of the best. Slughorn takes notice of this. He was already wanting to have Harry a part of his trophy room for being the boy he lived. Now he really wants him because he's like his mother, who was another one of Slughorn's trophies, or as he calls them, the Slug Club. During this time, also, Dumbledore is giving lessons to Harry himself, and he feels that these lessons are actually Dumbledore trying to teach him details about Voldemort's past that will lead to help him defeat him. And eventually he's like, okay, we need that memory from Slughorn. And so Harry has to convince him. With a luck potion, he manages to get the secret, get the memory out of him. And you figure out that Voldemort had created 7 Horcruxes. Horcruxes are basically where you can split your soul into different parts, into different objects, and then with those objects, then you can live forever. And that's why when he tried to kill Harry back, when Harry was 1, it didn't work because he has these anchors keeping him alive. And the memory was that was. They knew that he had made at least 2 Horcruxes, and now they knew of at least that he was trying to go for 7. So there was probably 7. Meanwhile, there are some relationships going on. Harry finds that he has feelings for Ginny Weasley. Ron starts dating this girl named Lavender Brown, making Hermione jealous because they have been like secretly kind of into each other for the longest period of time, and they just don't want to fully admit it. And so that whole thing's going on. Harry ends up getting with Ginny, Lavender, and Ron break up, leading to not quite together yet, but kind of together, Ron and Hermione. Now we cut back to what's going on with the Horcruxes. Dumbledore takes Harry on a hunt to try to find one of these Horcruxes to this cave where Voldemort had traumatized some kids in the past. They find a locket there, and when they get back, they find the Dark Mark up in the sky at Hogwarts. And so they rush in, only to have Draco Malfoy, who for the whole book has been doing some very suspicious things, disarm Dumbledore, and he's going to try to kill him, and he can't quite do it. And then some Death Eaters come out, and they're egging him on to kill Dumbledore, because this apparently was his mission this year. And then there comes up Severus Snape, and he says, Avada Kedavra, and kills Dumbledore. Harry chases Snape down, and he's going to try to kill him, and he tries to use one of the spells from the book of the Half-Blood Prince, only for it not to take effect because Severus Snape was able to block it, and that's when Severus reveals to him that he is the Half-Blood Prince. The book ends with Dumbledore's funeral. They realize the Horcrux is a fake, and so now they have to find the real Horcrux. Ginny and Harry break up because Harry feels like he can't keep her safe, and that it's going to do her more harm to be with her. And we end the book with this idea of, we're finally here. We're done with the school. We're done with all that. It is now, we are hunting Horcruxes, and we are going to kill this guy. Boom. Now onto my thoughts. Start with the negatives. The first one being, so Slughorn is collecting the greatest wizards, but yet he can't figure out who Snape is at all. Just never. Like, he's like, oh, Lily was great at potions, but never picked up on that her best friend, spoiler for the next one, was good at potions. Just saying. It's like there was a literally, like, the thing that made me think of this was there was a conversation where Severus Snape and Slughorn are talking, and they're talking about how great Harry is at potions, and like Slughorn never brings up like, oh yeah, you're great at potions too, and like he never even thinks about it. It's like, yeah, also it kind of makes me question, I wonder if what made Lily good at potions was because she was getting some advice from Severus, but also really they weren't friends too much when in school, so we'll get into that in the next book. But anyways, I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, why didn't you notice him? The next one is, in one of the memories, Voldemort comes to have a job interview for the Defense Against the Dark Arts position at Hogwarts with Dumbledore, and they have a conversation, and in the conversation, Dumbledore reveals that he knows that he's Voldemort, and because, you know, he's pretended to still be just Tom Riddle to some people, for most people. The problem I have with this is the fact of, in the first book, in the first like couple, and especially in the second book, when it's like reveals that Tom Riddle is Lord Voldemort and all, Dumbledore says that no one really knows that Tom Riddle and Lord Voldemort are the same person. And then in this scene, it seems like it's a very commonly known fact. It's still somewhat of a secret, but like I thought it also was clear that Voldemort assumed that Dumbledore had picked it up, but it hadn't 100% been verified that Dumbledore does know that that Tom Riddle was Voldemort. But in this case, it does show that, and I'm like, okay, so there's a little bit of contradiction there. I thought it would have been better if they didn't have that, and because it made this interesting like secret that most people, when someone calls him Tom, it's like, how do you know I'm Tom Riddle? Like, it was supposed to be a kind of a secret. No one knows that Tom Riddle, this prefect, this really great guy in school who everyone loved, is the Dark Wizard. Like, the next one is also is on Lily. The fact that when they're trying to think of who the Half-Blood Prince is, they never think, hey, Lily, she keeps coming up in this book of like, oh yeah, she was great at potions. Like, no, they never thought that. Like, now, yes, the boys were trying to say, well, it can't be a woman. Hermione was trying to say, well, it could be a woman, it could be this person. But never thought to say, hey, what about Lily Potter or Lily Evans would have been? And it's like, she keeps being brought up as great as potions. Makes perfect sense. But no, they never do that. On that same topic, the question of why didn't Snape take his book with him? He wrote all these notes in his edition of the potions book, but he doesn't take it with him. Like, that seems like something that he would keep with him. And so it was weird that it was just in the cupboard. The last one I want to mention in the negatives is the fact that Fleur Draco, you met her in the fourth book, and she comes back up in this book. She's kind of a joke for the whole book until the very end. And somewhat that's like, okay, yeah, just in the same way that Hermione, you don't really like Hermione until you like at close to halfway through the book, you realize, oh, she's a great person, and then suddenly it just changes. But in this case, Harry never thought she was a bad person, so like her complete jerk, mean attitude towards the Weasleys is weird because like, okay, she should be trying to be as flattering as she can to them because she wants to be on their good side because her fiance is a part of their family, you know. Now onto the good. Starting with the open chapter. Unlike what I was saying with the first couple books where the opening chapters were like pointless or like not necessary to kind of destroy it, in this one, the opening book chapter is so good because it doesn't talk about Harry at all, but what makes it good is the fact that it sets the tone so well for this book. You're going into the book and saying, we are now in active war. So having the ministries, and the Minister of Magic and the Prime Minister now having to have a conversation about this is such a great moment. It just sets the tone perfectly of this is not just about the Wizarding World now. This is all about all of the UK. Love that. Just love that. The next one is Horcruxes. The idea of Horcruxes is such a great idea. And unlike what I'm going to talk about with another thing in the last book, in this case, the Horcruxes being added in here is such a great addition because it has hints throughout the whole books of something's going on, and then having it revealed here is such a, like, if you revealed it too early, it would have been a problem. Like, right now is the perfect time, and it really builds on the story in this like added suspense of this is the only way you can kill him. You have to find these Horcruxes. I love that. On that same note is, of course, his backstory, Voldemort's backstory itself. I love it how you get to see not just him be evil, but you also get to see him as a child and how he grew up with this in this nasty way. You get to see him being charming. Like, you got to see some of that in book 2, but really now you get to see the real charm of Voldemort. And it's something that I can't wait for the show to do, because the movie really took all that out, and it's probably one of the best parts about the whole series is seeing Lord Voldemort. I wish we had way more of Lord Voldemort being Lord Voldemort. Honestly, that would be a cool, like, spin-off. Like, that would be a cool, like, series that just from Lord Voldemort as he's doing his evil stuff. Like, oh, awesome. That would be awesome. But I love all these scenes with Lord Voldemort. It almost makes me question why I think The Order of the Phoenix is better, but I do, just in general. Now into a more light-hearted one. I love the whole thing with Ginny and Harry in this book, because of the fact, okay, Harry's the main character, but what I love about this love story is the fact that Harry is not the victor in this story. Yeah, he gets to go. Great. But really, it's about Ginny. He is a side character he's the love interest in this romance story that happens. She's been, ever since book 1, she's been trying to get with him. And in this book, she finally gets with him. And it's not a victory for him, even though it's sent the way of it's a victory for him. It's more of a victory for her, and I love that. It's not him getting the girl, it's she's getting the guy. And I love that. I love having that, like, moment of just, he's a side character. Not a side character, but the love interest. And I love that. The next one is the fact that this book does a great job with showing the humanity of Draco. You see him cry. You see him, like, he's burdened with this task of killing Dumbledore, and you see him throughout the whole book. He's like breaking because he all this pressure was put on him. He has to kill the greatest wizard of all times, or else he would be killed. And he doesn't know how to do it, and he keeps trying it, and he keeps making mistakes because of it. Unlike in the movies where they really try to, like, redeem him in the end, like, in the books, he's never redeemed, but there is that feeling of he's human. It really sets him up as, like, he's more than just a bully. He's a tragic person who was raised in a family of Death Eaters and all. And the last one is the ending. I love it how they kill off Dumbledore in the end of this book, because it takes away the safety belt. Now, going into the last book, Harry does not have Dumbledore to lean on. He has to do it himself. He's the only one who knows. Him and Ron and Hermione are the only ones who know about the Horcruxes, and they have to go hunt them. There's this sense of the betrayal, not that Snape was ever someone you could trust, but even more so, feeling that emptiness. Like, I read these books after the books all came out, but I'm just imagining what it would be like to be those people who read this book and had to wait until the last book came out, and feeling that betrayal of, he trusted Snape, and now Snape betrayed him. How dare that man? And they have the last book explain the whole thing. I freaking love that. I love it, and it's such a terrible ending, but it's the perfect ending for this book. They ended in this tragic way and be like, guess what? We're not holding back the punches. And then the next book, we're like, death, kill, death scene, death scene, death scene. It's like filled with all, yeah, these last books are incredible in my opinion. So anyways, yes. So sum it all up. Honestly, I do still feel like The Order of the Phoenix is a better book in my opinion, but this book has so many great moments. I would say The Order of the Phoenix is more heavy on the schoolwork and all that different stuff, but this one's more heavy on the characters. You have all these different characters play an important part of the story, and the mystery of who the Half-Blood Prince is really well done. There's just so many details in this book that I just love. The only complaint, like the big complaints I have with it, is a lot of times comes from just that she didn't, like J.K. Rowling didn't think of something like, oh yeah, that is a plot hole. Or there could have been more time spent in this book. I would have liked this book to be longer, have more scenes of Voldemort. This book is really good. I really like this book. Anyways, guys, tell me your thoughts. How would you rate this on the list of Harry Potter books? Thank you guys for watching. Peter Wary, signing off.